refresh the page just to make sure. So we might have to do an intro again.
Okay. It says uh, it should be okay now. Can you hear me? All right.
Oh, I can hear you fine.
Yeah.
I just had the YouTube video open and it just says it's waiting for you to start. Oh, there it goes.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey, there we
It's
go.
I see sorry my YouTube's not in English, but it's if I translate it says that
Oh no, it's all good.
the flow is slower than it should be, so it automatically shut off. I'll check in periodically, but let me
Yeah.
redo the intro.
I was like, oh no, I didn't broadcast it.
Yeah, no, classic, and
Yeah.
I will definitely. I think maybe what I'll do actually is let me tether to my 4G, because it looks like the Wi-Fi is not a happy camper,
No,
and
it's all good now. Now that it's live, it seems to be going smoothly.
okay, great. So
But it just wasn't live.
I'll stream inside the stream, but to get slightly uh, less meta for a second, I'm Mike. This is Ben. I'm a user of his sample packs and a client of his for over a year. But since I've launched my own online DAW, I'm just meeting up with people whose samples and whose music I like a lot, and kind of exploring it in there, with their feedback. So like instead of asking, and we'll
Yeah.
here's the link coming out of it.
Sure. You sent it in the Discord?
I send it on one second Twitter, but let me send it on the Discord
Oh,
now as well. Yep. So it is there.
okay. Yeah, I got it.
Great.
Yeah, I watched one of your prior videos for this. It just seems like kind of like generative programming, but for music, and
Yeah.
that's really really cool. I like that just whole idea of it.
Yeah. Thanks. I mean that's what it is, and we're gonna do some generative stuff with your samples. That'll be kind of one of the first things we do actually. So. Um, There you go. So the kind of litmus test is once you're there, if you press play, let me know if you hear one of your samples. It'll take like a few seconds to compile. Now let's do its thing.
It is compiling right now. Still working on it.
Yeah, it's
Does it have to like download stuff then?
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
guessing.
It's downloading some stuff. It'll be a lot faster on subsequent things. Hopefully.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I
It's
always say
just
that.
collecting assets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Um,
Oh, there it goes.
Great. So that's one of your samples.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna change the sample right now. Uh,
Sure.
keep it in your ear and just let me know if you heard the sample change to seasonal affective disorder.
Yep.
Great. Okay. Cool.
Yep. I
So
heard the change.
great. All right. So that's all we need. Then we're live. So you could stop it now and then we'll press play kind of whenever we have something interesting
Yeah.
and
Sure.
worth looking at. So that's the point of this program, that like two people, literally basically a planet ways apart, can collaborate in real time on audio with text. So it can go up to 100 folks. There's three of us here now. I don't know
Wow.
who that third person is, but hopefully they're good here for good and not for evil. But uh, um, that's that person. So let's. So I love how you've. I tweeted out the sample pack I'm using, which is your most recent one. I like how you split it
Mm-hmm.
up into weird loops, pad drums, and solos. Um, I think we're gonna sort of dip into all those. But the first thing that I'd like to
Sure. Yeah.
do is do something kind of with the drums, but maybe uh, something a bit simple at first, sort of as you've imagined it. Maybe not like the amen break, but something that kind of grooves, and then from there we can kind of pull it apart and generate different patterns essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just really interested. Like I said, I watched a little bit of your stream, prior streams, and it was really cool. I'm kind of curious to see how it all comes together.
Yeah, definitely. I'm curious to see how the sounds come together. So just thinking of kind of what would be a good, like a very good bass break, something with a kick in it, just to like to kick stuff off. So we have Simply Water Kick, which I think is an apt candidate for that. Um, and then do you have like a something like a closed hi hat or something in there that you know of off the top of your
In the
head?
drums folder. Yeah, let me see. I can audition some. I should have had Ableton open so I can audition
No,
these
you're
things
fine. No
faster.
worries.
Um, but yeah, like I think in the drums folder there was a lot of that kind of stuff. Search for hat.
Yeah, that's. I'm searching for hat. As we have
Yeah.
this same strategy. I can
Yeah.
see.
So there's three of them. So if you're looking for a really simple hat, there's one from what is that, May 27th, if you're going by the dates. I don't know how they're organized.
No, that's fine.
2020, May 27th. Um, this song's called Check My
Check my
Booty,
booty.
which is a real mixed blessing. Uh, sometimes, we all get a little punchy when it comes to that stuff, and
I
just
think
end up
it's
naming songs. Yeah,
great. No, I don't. No need
yeah,
to.
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay, so I've done it so that if you press play, you can see what I've done. So the first one is just simply water, and then I have it go doo doo, and then check my booty hat afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay, that's on line 52 to 55. And the way that it works is that each unit is delimited by the square bracket times this tempo at least. Kicky sound that we could
Sure.
audition.
Yeah. Let me. Which is
And loud kids kick, exactly.
It
Okay.
also has a little bit of a piano tone in the background. Hopefully that won't be too much of a problem.
I doubt it. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Sounds. I'm gonna do 4 hits of the hi-hat on the last one. So let's hear if we can really hear that coming through. Yeah. Can you hear the 1, 2, 3, 4 at the end?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So let's kind of.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, let's push it. Also, let's do 6 on the second one. A lot more than otherwise. So, okay, then
it's really cool how the program just by multiplying it like that. That's super neat. Because that's like when you're actually in a DAW and you're working with that kind of stuff, you know that you can do that, but it's also like, man, that's kind of a pain in the ass to do. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah,
so
yeah. And
I think it's really cool.
Cool, thanks. It's the notation is something called mini notation that's taken from a project called Tidal Cycles, which is inspired by, I forget, I need to go back down the chain, but like there's several artists that are kind of working in this direction, and I find that it's a super concise way to get what you want. It's gonna get a little harder to work with once we start doing like DSP processing chains and stuff like that. But for laying down a beat like this, I think it could be pretty nice. Yeah, and maybe let's. I'm trying to think of like a good. Is there like a good high sound just that could give like this woot type effect? And we could pitch shift something too.
Let's see. Yeah. I can maybe in the weird folder. There's Yeah, if you, it's possible that Marathon Man from 2019, December 4th, there's an sound. If you pitch that up by a little bit, that could work.
Yeah, let's. I'm gonna play it now, just like, as
this is
is.
in the weird folder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna. I'll play it by itself, but then let's pitch it up. Yeah. Okay. So I hear what you mean. That it's not quite there yet, but
yeah.
So okay. So what we'll do is, I'll call this Marman. So you can give stuff tags, and then what we'll do is we'll do on tag Marman, and I'm going to do the following: change rate const 3.0.
Gotcha. So that's pitch shifting it up.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
rate
It,
right now,
it'll
basically.
exactly, yeah. And I just need to just import on tag. And then there's just one little error in here. Yep. Parse. All right, sweet. Okay, so let's. It's changed to 3.0 now, but let me play it on the stream and see how it sounds. You might need to reload to get the effect, but that's doable. Um, okay, so it's crunching on the server. Uh, uh, yeah, sometimes it gets a little janky. I think maybe there could be too many people requesting it. Victim of its success. No, I have no clue what's going on, but it should show up.
No, I got it. I got it right away.
Okay, great. So you hear the 3.0, it shifted up, hopefully.
Yep.
In there. Is that how does that sound as actually let's say 2.0, 5.0. Yeah. So this should give like this upward feel to it. I don't know if it gives it yet. Can you hear something like that in there that's going up?
Yeah, give me a second. A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, let me tighten.
Like it is a little bit different.
I'll tighten it up a little bit more. Let's see if we can get it a little bit better.
Sure. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I love interesting ways of making music, because this is where like the good inspiration comes from, is when you're not necessarily outside of your comfort zone, but you're doing things that you don't normally do. I really have fun working with Nintendo sound chip emulator called Famitracker.
Yeah.
For like a really, for the same reasons, where it's just like it's so different from what you normally do in a DAW, because you're basically working on a big spreadsheet and you're putting in, you're using a tracker, you're putting in notes manually, and that just completely reconfigures the way that I approach writing music. And like the music I write in Famitracker is so different than the music that I put out through like Ableton. And
Yeah.
it's just so cool to have, because even with this loop, like I can totally see like creating a loop inside of here, and then bringing that into a different system to like flesh it out more if you wanted to do that, or something. And I think that there's a lot of cool options.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the it's maybe one thing that's not shining as much as it could is the export in it, that I've been just using like OBS Studio whenever I want to export something, and then I dice it up. But it's sample accurate. That's the good news. But I mean, it's not necessarily the most ergonomic way to do it. But definitely, I think that there's like just every tool kind of has its place. And the most important thing is that you're using the right tool for the right job. And as the adage goes, like when you have a hammer, everything starts resembling a nail. So ideally, you have a toolbox, and then you can be more creative. So yeah. So we haven't touched the pads yet, but what I'd like to do, there were some pads that I felt were really rich and could be really fun in sort of like a glitchy way.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, if there's one that's kind of in that category and near and dear to your heart, we can go with that. I can pull it up.
Yeah. In that case, I would go with in the pads folder. There's a song called "After the Aftermath," and the pad, it's called Space, and it's incredibly lush. It's After the Aftermath is one of my favorite songs I've ever made from the 2-hour track challenge. You're probably, I don't know how much like EQ you can do with this kind of stuff, but it is a very big pad.
It's doable. The only thing that I would need to figure out is how to like how long it is. Well, actually, you know what I could do? Let me I'll make it so that it's the length, like 1.3 seconds long, and then we're
Yeah, yeah.
then we're absolutely fine. So map change volume const parse. So it'll just like take me a second to get the syntax in there. Okay, so change volume. So I'm going to go down from 1.0 to 1.3. 0.
Yeah, I think changing the volume would probably do a good job with that too.
Yeah, it's. I mean, for now, what I'll do is I'll actually let me do something a little bit even easier. Sample time. I'll do a hard cliff at 1.3 seconds. So if sample time is greater than 1.3, then 1.0 else 0.0. So this will be like the length of what we're working. Yeah. Okay, so it is lush. So let's but in a great way. So let me
Oh yeah.
let me try it again. You hear how it's growing? If you press play, you have it growing out each time, and then it just cuts off. Now.
Yeah, I might have to refresh the page this time.
Yeah,
it was doing well before, but
yeah, it craps out sometimes. But that's when we hire more people to work on it, that are not just me, then they will fix those bugs and more. But for now,
oh yeah, I imagine.
So
that sounds good though. I like that.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
So what I'm doing there is it's just a hard cut right before the loop end, so it creates this like empty space right before the end. I love those kind of dropout feelings.
Yeah, I do too. It's something that I struggle with a lot of the time, but when I remember to do it, it's like, oh yeah, this is awesome. Why don't I do this all the time?
Yeah, and the nice thing with this sort of if you look at like line 58, it's like if you know your loop is 1.3 long, I mean it's code, right? But it like if sample time is less than a second, then volume is 1, otherwise 0. So it's sort of when you're isolating bits like that, it makes it pick up apart a bit more. So now let's add an effects chain because we can, and I think that this will be like having some sort of filter on this. I think could be like really nice. So I'm gonna I'll stop it for now. And let me dip into just my toolbox of effects. Git grep. So CD cookbook. For those watching the stream, this is the Wagsy GitHub project. So I'm just going to look for high pass because you can copy and paste what you want in here. Of course, that's true for Ableton Live as well. You can copy and paste what you want, but this what I like about this setup is that it's just copying text, so it's like can be a little bit faster. So let's just try it with a random high pass filter, and then we'll kind of take it from there. And yeah, so now it's way too high passy. It sounds you just hear it going, so it's doing too much. But the spirit is there. So I'm gonna, and it's an LFO. So now it's a high pass filter starting at 900. That let's have it start maybe at 1300. Now the frequency's a little bit less. Actually, tell you what, that's why there's just multiple LFOs that are nested, so it's a bit bit too it gets too hot to handle. So I'm gonna make the Q value just a bit more tame. Let's not make it a function of time. Let's just make it a straight up 4.0. And now I'll press play and listen what it cuts out a little too much of it. Let me bring it down to 500. Yeah, let's bring it back up to 1000. I'm going to change the high pass to band pass. Let's see how that is.
Yeah, I think you're getting there. It's definitely sounding a little better.
Yeah, it's we're going to maybe do a couple of these. I'm going to make it really resonant. No, it's too resonant. Let's. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Great. And now what I'll do is I'll put another bandpass filter, like, an octave up from that one, and let's see, how that evolves. So, for now, I'm just gonna put gain 1.0, and I'll say bandpass 1. So this is going to look a little bit like a mixing board if you look at lines like, let's say, 59 and company. So we have like one channel that's bandpass 1, and then we have another channel that's going to be bandpass 2. And let's hear. Okay, and now bandpass 2 we'll put at 2000 and see if we can hear that. Yeah, what I'm going to do is make the frequency of the higher bandpass like really active and see if that's too obnoxious or not. No, it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, because every time it repeats, the clock time is a little bit different. So it's never the same thing. So you hear it swelling in a different way each time based on the LFO. So what the LFO is doing is it's a function of clock time. So that's why the that you hear sometimes sounds lower, sometimes sounds higher in time. Yeah, listen to it for about 30 seconds and you'll hear that the growing is never exactly the same on that pad. Sometimes it sounds thicker and sometimes it sounds thinner.
Yeah, it's really cool. I like how it fluctuates like that.
Yeah, that's just thanks. It's just that LFO on line 61. You'll see that. So the frequency is 0.3, which means a really slow LFO. So it's just like an LFO you put in Ableton or anything else. So it just means that sometimes the bandpass it's hitting it on a really low bit, and the second bandpass is really high. You can't really hear it. I'm kind of a little disappointed about that, but I'm gonna really restrict the Q value to something insane and see if it makes it. Yeah, I mean now it just sounds like dither a little bit. You hear that?
Oh
you
yeah.
Hear that? Maybe that's a little too tasteless. Well, nothing's too tasteless in music.
It's subtle. It's subtle enough where you can't really tell. Which I think is fine. Like the subtlety for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so that's that. Cool. Then the Simply Water Kick. I'm gonna. So we're doing it twice in a row, but I'm gonna put a tag on the first one called SWK, short for Simply Water Kick, and I'm just gonna like raise it ever so slightly to the point where people are like, is that even higher? And let's hear if that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That might be too subtle. Let me listen.
Yeah, it's.
No, you can hear it. Yeah, I can hear it. I was surprised that like a 2% change actually
Does something.
makes that much of a difference. Yeah.
I kicked it up to 1.04, and now you really hear it. It's maybe a little, but I didn't. Yeah, I want to bring it back down to.
That's like a quarter. It's like a quarter step, not a half step. I like that a lot.
Yeah, exactly. The quarter step. I like it too because it's like, it's you don't identify it as a different pitch, but something's like a little bit different in there.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So, great. Now, how long is the what is that called? The after the aftermath space.
Oh, after the aftermath?
Yeah.
The sample itself it's a fairly long sample. It's about 7-8 seconds long.
Okay.
It is 6.86 seconds and 877 milliseconds if you wanted to be exact.
So one thing we can do that's going to be I'll stop it for now because this is going to be like a intensive operation. But I'm going to change where it starts in the sample a little bit, and let's see if that gives it. Let's see if that does anything. Maybe it'll suck. But
Oh, it will. So about halfway through the sample, a piano comes in. So you might want to choose the start selection from the first like 3 seconds.
Okay, that's good to know. So let me do for now. Traversed LNBO. So we're missing. Yeah, 1 second. Let me get grep traversed is from data lens traversed. Let me reload the page just to make sure that it compiles. Okay. Okay, so the LNBO, which is on line 87, is where the offset is in the buffer. That's what it's controlling. So I'm gonna now it's at 0.0, so it's starting at 0 seconds, which is what we wanted. Let me just reload again because for some reason it's being obnoxiously slow. Now we're fine. Okay, so it's still starting in the same spot. I have our pictures on there. So what I'm gonna do is shift it to 1 second into the sound, just to hear what that does, and then we'll play around with that. Yeah, you hear how it's a different sound than it was before. And now, what I'm gonna do is the following. I'm going to use an LFO to essentially control in that first 3 seconds where the initial onset is. And that'll kind of fluctuate us in the initial onset over time. So the way to do it... Sorry, what did you say?
I knew where this was going.
Oh, okay, you knew where it was going. So...
I would have done the same thing.
All right, good. I like how you think. So let me stop it because... then I'll just so clock time LFO is a function of clock time, and then I'm going to say phase 0.0 frec let's say 0.3 nice and slow. Amplitude is going to be 1.45, and then a function of clock time, and then I'm going to add 1.5, so it's going to scale, or like let's say 1.49. So 1.5 minus 1.49, because it's an LFO, so it's centered at 1.5. Minus 1.49 will get us to the beginning, plus will get us to the 3 second mark that you mentioned. So let me press play, and it is why is it mad? Yeah, easy to fix. LC map unwrap. All right, now it will be less mad. So let's it's just a syntax thing. Okay, so it should do its thing. I'm gonna reload it. Do you hear it kind of sweeping?
Yeah, I do. That's really cool. It's also pulling in a little bit of that piano at the like when it's at 3, which is great. I like that a lot.
Okay.
The piano's still in key.
Okay.
You can hear like an extra tone coming in for some of them, but not all of them.
Yeah. I hear that now. Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Let's keep it. No, I totally agree. It's bizarre in all the good ways.
Exactly.
Yeah, let's run with it. Okay. And then maybe as kind of the one, just thinking of ways to push this, maybe one last little thing to do. We haven't gone into the solos yet, but is there like a looping solo that's like, so it's not going to be in rhythm with this, that's just for sure, but is there like a loop that we could do over it that you think would sound nice?
Oh, man. I actually think if you want perfect loops, I would go into the loops folder. So I'll look in there.
Okay.
Just because the solos are more just kind of isolated instruments, but not necessarily designed to loop. But the loops folder, I went in and I made sure all the loop points are lined up so they do loop perfectly. a good question. A lot of these are like very full on the frequency spectrum, so it's hard to have this mix in with everything else.
Yeah.
Um, there is Underwater Cave, Roiling Waves has kind of an arpeggio loop that might work well for this if we kind of lower the volume a bit.
Underwater Cave, Roiling Waves. Yeah. Let me let me grab it.
Tempo wise, it might not work though. We might have to mess with the what is it, the const to like up the speed of it.
Yeah, what's the current length of it?
Let me see. It is current length is just a touch over 8 seconds. It's 8 seconds and 4 milliseconds.
Okay, so 8 seconds and 4 milliseconds. So currently, let's we can make it work. So 1.3 times 3 is so 3.9. Let's so times 6, and is the loop well, actually, yeah, let me so 8, so let's go with 8. 8.0 divided by 6 is 1.3333, of course. So I'm gonna copy and paste this twice. So this is gonna be as close to 8 seconds as we can get, and then I'm gonna add that. What was the name again? Roiling.
Oh, Roiling Waves. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, Underwater Cave, Roiling Waves. For now, I'll start off kind of at a lower volume map.
Yes. Yeah, I would. Not because it's particularly loud, but it will. We need to like sync it all up.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. So I'll press play. Yeah, the fact that it's in 3 against 4 creates this awesome hemiola.
Yeah,
that's nice. So
especially in the gap that you left with the drums and stuff, where it can kind of, you can hear it there even better. I think that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also gonna on the second. I'm gonna do a couple things. So it's at 0.1 right now, but actually let's make it so that it kind of comes in and out, not unlike a roiling wave. And we'll so as a function of clock time, we'll change the volume plus 0.3. So I'll do amp 0.29 and then frec yeah, clock time. So let's let me start it up again, and we'll hear it go away over time. Yeah. So it's kind of coming in and out. I think we can make it. One thing I'd like to experiment with, maybe the I always say like the last thing. It's never the last thing, but the last thing is this. I actually don't think a LFO works that well for it. Just because it's
a little too it's a little too smooth, and it kind of feels like it's almost erroring out rather than fading out.
That's what I was gonna say, and it's too smooth for sure. So I'd like something that just feels more edgy, for lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm.
So let I'm gonna do the following. Make piecewise. So this is gonna be a piecewise function now, and a function of clock time. But we're gonna do clock time mod 8.0. So yeah, so for now I'm going to do 0.01, 1.08, and then 8.0, 0.0. Let me just make sure. I'll press play just to make sure the syntax is correct.
Yeah,
now it's Happy Camper. About 1 second. Yeah. So parentheses, one last one. All right, so it's going through now. So I'll redo it. Okay, so now we have a piecewise function there, and I'm going to make it so that it's just that piecewise function is really jagged, essentially. Let me reload one more time. Sorry about that. Let me get you back on the screen.
No, you're all good.
All right, so okay, so to make it more jagged, I'm gonna do at 1.0. It'll actually, let me just take it to a Scratch document really quick. So I'll design it so that at 1.0 it's still at 1.0. At 1.1 it's at 0.0. At 2.3 it's at 0.0. At 2.6 it's at 1.0. So this is just going to be a first test of something that's kind of a little bit more jagged. 3, 4, 5, 5. All right, so this. All right, let's see how this is. So on the next one, it should pick it up. So it's going down pretty uniformly now, but yeah. Sorry. All right. It's missing. Yeah. Great. Okay. So yeah. So now it's dropping out totally, basically, in certain points. Maybe it's a little too. You hear how now the piecewise function just completely gates it. Maybe not quite that.
Yeah, maybe a little. I think the timing of it is a little off more than anything. I think it's really cool though.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we should push that out.
If anything, we want. If anything, I would say to have it kind of fill in the gap in the
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
But yeah, I like where this is going.
Yeah.
And maybe I'd say you have to have it going with 1 either. Like,
1.0. Let me just set a variable and say like samp top. So because it's programming, we can make variables for like whatever we want. So instead of 1.0, we'll just do samp top.
that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Okay. So basically, it's zeroing out sort of at an inopportune place because I agree. We definitely wanted to fill the percussion slot. Let me redo the pad. Let me, because I think it's halfway through.
Sorry, my bad. I fixed the one thing and then you did two at the same time.
Okay.
So,
yeah, it's
so there's two 1.4s right now.
Two 1.5. Yeah. No problem. So this should. I'm gonna see if this. I'm gonna just press play again and see if this persists into the quiet zone you're talking about, because I totally agree that's like that's the way to do it. Yeah, for some reason restarts are it's like every other time today it's deciding to redo it, but that's fine. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's.
I do like how it sounds, but I think that it would be filled in that gap.
Yeah. there I would just have to mess around a little bit more with the math and figure out exactly where the gap is. Yeah, now it's a little bit better. Alright, and if we want to do something like really sadistic, I'll put this in, but then I'll take it out. So I'm going to take that, and I'm just going to, like, so Lambert, I'm going to pitch shift it, so const 0.02, and then same thing, change rate 1.04, and let me just see what that does. Yeah, that's totally trippy. You could when it fades away, you hear the echo of the slightly higher one. It's like totally messing with your head.
That's cool though. That's a really neat effect.
Yeah, it's just like, where the fuck did that come from? It's really disconcerting.
Yeah, I write a lot of my music in C minor, so thankfully all of these samples kind of work well together just on their own.
Yeah.
Because of that. But yeah, it's cool that you can do that kind of subtle shift and make it feel like it's something else.
And I bet that
you cut out there for a couple seconds.
Okay, sorry. Let me.
No, you're good.
Okay. Yeah. So now it's completely hard panned to. Yeah. So listen to the pitch shifted one. It's completely on the right now.
Oh yeah.
It's totally weird. It's just like, where the fuck did that come from? It makes no sense. Yeah. It's just, you hear when stuff drops out and it just continues on there. It's bizarre. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I'm happy with it. I'm just gonna sort of leave it as is now. I'll turn it off and just put us on the stream, because folks have seen that run. But anybody can go onto the WAGPad. It's public. You can mess around with it. I'm going to click on star so it saves it as a saved revision. So historians will know that this is the approved version, and then people can mess with it as much as they want. But yeah, I'd like to take the last 5 minutes just to point people to where they can get these samples, because we just made something with them, and other folks would probably like to as well. So is it okay if I point them to Gumroad? I don't know if they're sold other places, but that's where I bought them.
Gumroad is the main place I sell them. Yeah.
Okay, great. So Gumroad, let me go to the Discover. Ben Burns.
I can send you the link if you don't want to find it.
Yeah, actually, if you could send the link on
it's on Discord.
Yeah, on Discord, exactly.
But yeah, for the last 2.5 years, I've been putting out a new sample pack every month, and having them free for the first month they're out. I am taking a little bit of a break from the sample pack making for a little bit, but I'll be back at it later this year. But yes, this sample pack in particular is basically a bunch of excerpts from my weekly stream, the 2-hour track challenge, where I sit down and I write a song from start to finish over the course of 2 hours. And I recently hit episode 300, so I took the past 100 songs and I turned that into a sample pack, and then I made a song using that for episode 300. And honestly, I really like the song that came out of that too. I think it's called Nothing Broken.
Yeah, it's here. Let me click on the link.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah.
If you're looking for a CRM, you're
on the Gumroad, so I don't have to dig up the link. But yeah, like I really like these types of packs that aren't necessarily like strictly ordered. They don't have a BPM. They don't have a key. Although like I said, most of my songs are in C minor. They're there as just kind of like noise or inspiration or like something in the background to help bolster a sound that you're already trying to build, rather than being like places like Splice where it's just like, okay, I'm gonna download half a song and then I have to figure out the rest of it, and it's like that's less fun for me. I like having samples that require me to like work around and think about and try to figure out that way. So
yeah, I mean,
that's kinda what I'm going for with
that's what I love in your work. I mean, they're open ended in the way that just really resonates with me, and it's the type of thing that into any environment, into a DAW or Ableton or wherever, I think you could drop them and do amazing stuff. I think that this WAG pad, the fact that it's kind of not linear and you can mix things together, just given what your voice is, it's really fun to explore that in this a particular setting.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that it's a really interesting way to make loops. I imagine that if you put enough time into it, you can make full songs as well. But like I said with FamiTracker, it's just like one of those things where it's just a different environment to work in, and just because it's different, like the way that you approach and solve problems is very different as well, and that can lead to some really cool and inspiring solutions to like making music. It's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks.
Yeah.
Maybe when a feature pack comes out after your brief hiatus off the circuit, we could. Great. Okay.
Cool to watch it come together.
Yeah. It was just fun to reacquaint myself with the sounds. Great. So I will sign off. I will definitely send out the link once the YouTube algorithms have scrubbed it of any profanity and whatever else they scrub it up. I'll be on next week with a Sound Directive, a Psytrance sample maker. So completely different world, completely different universe, but also
nice,
super fun. So hopefully I could, if I'm lucky enough to meet up with my favorite sample artists on a weekly basis, and that's like a great way to spend 2022 after a couple interesting years. So nice way to kick this one off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. And see you soon.
Bye. Take care.